What up, guys, and welcome to the Overkill Underground. Here we are, the finale show, episode 13.
Wow.
This was the determiner of how things came about throughout all the episodes, and we start out here. We're at night 35. Abby's gone. They come back.
Right. We got 6 left, right?
They start arguing. We got 6 left, and then Keith. He seems to be left out of the loop, as well as Wentworth.
Keith and Wentworth left out of the loop again.
And,
yep.
and of course, Keith comes out with the genius statement that, oh, well, I wouldn't want to go to the end with Jeremy or Spencer. Well, of course you wouldn't.
Right.
I mean, that's stating the obvious at this point, but just insane that, Keith, there's no way you'll be Final Four or even Final 3.
Well,
I mean, for sure.
I don't. I mean, Keith is somebody you want to take to the end. I thought at that point, Keith was somebody hey, Abby and Keith, I thought, were kind of like interchangeable parts. They really didn't do anything. Keith won a couple immunities, but other than that, he didn't really do too much at the game until a little bit later, and we'll get to that.
Well, I think Keith, coming out and saying that really kind of ended up hurting him. Any which way you look at it, once they're in that situation, it's obviously going to be Tasha, Jeremy, and Spencer that are going to stick together.
And that's we were talking about that earlier, weren't we, Rob? It was kind of anticlimactic that last hour, and that's why CBS and that's why Survivor kind of jammed 6 survivors into a 2-hour special. They had three immunities,
right, back to back.
Yeah, it was like boom, boom, boom. There was really nothing to see at camp because Tasha, Jeremy, and Spencer's bond was so strong.
Go for it.
Oh, I'm
You're
sorry.
on.
No,
I'm sorry, but I think another reason why they shortened the season is.
Well, I don't think they didn't shorten the season.
Let me finish. Next Wednesday is Christmas Eve. You're not going to show it then. The next week is New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
You're not going to show it then.
It was definitely...
So you're not going to skip 2 weeks and then come back and start the series again. So you've got to get it done tonight. And that's what they did what they had to do.
I agree with that. You can't do that with Survivor so much as you can, maybe a show like The Walking Dead where they take those winter breaks and so on. That... they leave you at a climactic end in a show like The Walking Dead where, your audience is guaranteed to come back. Survivor, I think they chance losing some viewers if it comes on. You're not in that same climactic state as you would be. I think timing in this situation was probably a lot to do with
what Survivor's different.
How
Survivor's
they put it together.
different.
Sure, they could have started it earlier, but I think you're right on with that. I mean,
they could have had a Wednesday episode and then had the finale on Sunday.
Right.
They could have done that, which they've done stuff like that before.
And I'm sure they had their options, right?
Yeah, but like I said, the main reason if it would have been a final episode, it would have been anticlimactic. Right. Like I said,
right.
Tasha. It was the second hour was somewhat anticlimactic. I mean, once Wentworth didn't win an idol, Jeremy won the idol, broke down crying. But before we even get to that, Before we even get to that, the climactic part and the reason they did pull this into a 2+ 3-hour special is because of what happened at the tribal at 6.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right. And the thing about that was
that was pretty awesome.
And we start in really at day 36, the immunity challenge. We had Spencer as the winner. That was his 3rd individual immunity that he ended up winning. So after they go through and win, though, they come through, and Kimmy's got a new plan. And this is where kind of you really saw what was the possibility, what's going to happen here.
Right. There were a lot of options at that point.
Is somebody going to flip? Is this going to stay a true now that we're seeing these voting blocks disappear, is this going to be the alliance here with Kimmy and Jeremy?
Well,
and
Kimmy had to make a move.
And she did. She
had
absolutely.
to. She didn't make a move the entire
to.
game. She had to make a move.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree 100%.
So
she did,
that was her move,
she did
and she stuck to it through the end, and that was pretty awesome. That was a brilliant move by Wentworth. I don't know if Jeremy plays his idol. If Wentworth Wentworth doesn't play hers, Jeremy doesn't play his.
Yeah, right.
But that was just a great tribal. I mean, Spencer's got immunity. The next two people play their hidden immunity idols.
And
so there's three people that you can't even vote for, and
I think Spencer was owning the game at that point.
Oh, he sure was.
You know, he was smile from ear to ear.
Oh, he won a few challenges.
Right. He sees both idols get played. He's so happy to be in the position that he's in.
And he
completely calls.
He called it out. And he drew it out. It sounded
he called out Kimmy. Right?
Oh yeah.
He completely called her out.
Did you catch that, Rob? He called it out. He drew it out.
He did. He called her out on that, and that was the best part about it. Really, you got to see it go down.
Yeah.
And how it ended up.
And they got Jeremy to use his at the same time, doing the same
thing.
Right.
Absolutely, yes. So they flushed out both the idols right then and there, and then as we see it, with I think Jeremy realized that Kimmy was flipping, and he did realize that after the vote. So
well,
he was glad that
he was a little
made the
salty
decision.
about it. Yeah,
he was salty about it for sure. But he was glad he made the decision he did, though.
Yeah, that was a great decision. And you know what? How about at that point, Keith says, "Hey, she's got two young ones. Let her stay. I'll gladly go."
I know.
How admirable! What a country gentleman. Southern gentleman he is. To pull that, but still, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking
he seemed genuine.
Yeah, seemed genuine, but still, you know what?
I know
he's pulling the flipper on him. He's gonna flop him, and he pulled the old switcheroo on him, and they said, and Wentworth, hook, line, sinker. She was like, wait, well, hold on, well, do you want to stay? And she says, of course I want to stay. She goes, well, then he's staying.
Yeah.
And that's it. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. That was great.
Wentworth kept him in it.
Well, Keith sold himself.
He did.
He really did.
Right.
And that was, and at that point, then Keith was a relevant player.
Yeah.
I thought.
He did seem.
That point.
That's where he did seem to.
Now he was a little dangerous at the end. Because, you know what?
They were still in trouble, though. Keith was still in trouble no matter what. But he did.
That was a great move on his part.
It was.
And that could have been, and as we all know, it's not what you did. It's not what you did in the first 3 weeks of the football season. It's what you did in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well,
it's more relevant. What happened just the other day is more relevant. And what Keith did by being admirable, saying, hey, vote me out, let her stay, it made him look like a shining knight. And because they decided to keep him in, made him a more dangerous player in the last 5 days or 4 or 5 days of Survivor
than he had been.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Now, at that point, Tasha was still irrelevant. Jeremy really, he was in a power position the entire game.
He really, both idols. I mean,
both idols.
And then playing one for Fishbach. I mean, that there.
He had Savage, Fish. He had
just pulling a move like that though is really. I mean, that's an important move to make playing an idol for another player.
Yeah, but
huge,
by having a
move,
having a Fishbach and having a Savage as targets to
and
divert away from him.
He did really line up some good,
strong people that were dangerous people. That hey. Let them take them out before me. I'll stay back in the wings and let them.
Having those strong targets, too, really
right.
helped out in the end, for sure.
Right.
We enter into night 36, though, and Wentworth and Keith, they're feeling the pressure. I mean, immediately after that, we're back into another immunity challenge, day 37.
Right.
And this is the giant obstacle course. That right there is a very challenging course too. They're exerting themselves to the maximum, and by the time they get done, you could see definitely how Spencer, who you would think would be good at doing puzzles, he's completely flustered. He's completely out of breath. Wentworth tore it up, and she was really she made a brilliant move going for the most difficult obstacle in that course first.
Yep.
She got that done, and you know what? She did that in a really smart way, though. The way she did that was completely different than anybody else. Because when you're going across the rope part where you're kind of using those boards across the rope as your stepping stone,
You
she
need
used
more energy.
but she used her back feet on the rope
did,
and
yeah.
just
Right.
kept scooting along with the boards. It was a brilliant move, really.
Well-
And so, I mean, she really burnt that course up.
She did.
Spencer got back and
Wentworth,
He didn't-
and let's agree, Wentworth was really the most dangerous player in that game at that point.
absolutely.
I mean,
Without
she
a doubt.
goes to the end. She gets pretty much every girl's vote over there.
She would have gotten the votes without
She
a
gets
doubt.
every girl. Now, when I kind of started seeing it dwindle down there, and there was the final four. Are we talking after Keith was gone? Because
Keith is still in it at this time
Well,
as
Keith-
far as
Keith
the
won-
obstacle course. I
Yeah.
mean,
Keith was, since Wentworth won, like I said, anticlimactic, and that's why they jammed it all into one show, because you knew Keith was going to go home.
Right.
That
Right.
three-person alliance of Tasha, Jeremy, and Spencer wasn't.
we
gonna,
weren't 100% sure.
They
because
tried
of-
to. They
because
tried
of
to play.
Jeremy.
It.
Because
Nah,
of
they tried
Jeremy.
to play that, but
I mean, you could kind of read between the lines on
they
that.
couldn't
but
make a whole show on that.
No, they couldn't. They sure couldn't. So it did go right to the end.
Right.
It was straight to the tribal.
So when they got to the final four,
they did give Jeremy's expression as though, like, oh my god, like he didn't have an idol, like
right?
you know. As
How
soon as-
about now? Wait a second. Wentworth goes out of her way. She makes that fake idol.
doesn't even do anything. With it.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I
do
mean,
anything with
when
it. Doesn't even.
he made the comment, he even made the comment. He,
he
said,
said he was
"I'm
gonna do
expecting
something."
He goes, "I'm expecting something exciting tonight." And
Yeah.
at that point, he says,
I'm gonna pull it out and say, "Hey."
I'm going to pull it out.
Yeah.
I'm going to whip my dick out and say, "Hey, look at this thing. Well, everybody, hey, take notice to this." And everybody's jaw drops and goes, "No, we better change our plan now." But no,
But he
that's
didn't do
exactly what he
nothing.
did. He didn't. He left it in his pants.
He didn't do nothing.
He should have pulled it out and said, "Hey, you know what? It's going to get exciting tonight because I ain't going nowhere."
Yeah.
Because Jeff doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Jeff doesn't go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa,
No, he
whoa,
doesn't.
Keith. That's a fake idol."
No.
He waits
No,
until
he
he tries to play it.
Yeah.
So he pulls that.
Jeff waits until he gets the idol in his hand
Right.
to confirm that yes, this is the real or no.
Real
Because
deal
there's
or
been
this is
plenty
fake.
of fakes.
Sure.
There's been plenty of fakes along
So
the way.
Keith could have pulled that. This is a fake, and he could have sold that. I mean,
No, absolutely.
he
yeah.
could have sold it.
Yeah, he could have.
And in the reunion show, I was waiting for Probst to ask Jeremy if Keith, and who knows if Jeremy would have been truthful to say, "Hey, I would have bought Keith's lie," or
Yeah, right.
or not. But I'm just curious if he
If he
would have
had.
pulled it out, would Keith have flipped his vote and said, "Yeah, I'm taking Spencer out"?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, wow, Spencer goes home, and who knows who wins that ball drop? Keith might be better at that than Jeremy.
I mean, I thought there was a chance. I thought there was a chance that
I did too.
That Jeremy could flip on that, and
And that's why they tried to play that a little
Right.
climactic at
Right.
the end there.
so I mean, obviously he did go with Spencer.
Right.
So he didn't vote against him, and immediately next day, I mean, these guys are running around crazy every day doing immunity challenges. Day 38, 1 day away from the final day. We're here at day 38, final immunity challenge. The immunity challenge that they set up for the final one was pretty good. It was where they had to let the ball go through the maze and catch it
That was pretty
with their,
cool.
with
That
their
was
arm
cool.
tied
That was
behind their
cool.
back, and then they get 2 balls going and 3 balls going. They can
Cool.
only catch with one hand, and they got to go left and right. And
Right.
it was you could see people kind of just, and as Jeff said too, you kind of get into
the
this,
lull of the
the
sound.
ball spinning. Yeah, the
Yeah.
ball actually it did. It like mesmerized them, and they
and watching it go in a circle. Yeah, I could see that happening.
and you saw people's hands just
Wentworth fell.
balls.
She fell victim to it first.
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
couldn't believe it either. But did you notice? I noticed while it was going, Jeremy was actually watching and trying to time it to make
He
them
was,
all come out.
And Spencer was not.
No, he was not.
Spencer did not.
Spencer was doing like a 1-2 deal.
Yep. Yeah, the 1-2 quick deal.
Yeah,
and that's
it was
not,
like boom, this one, boom, that one, and now I got to wait a few
and
seconds.
that right, and that
Can't do that.
That hurt him
Yeah,
for
it
sure,
does.
without a doubt.
Because when you're trying to throw that next ball in there, you got to
Right.
get it there in.
Yeah, and the timing's got to be
pretty
perfect.
And when he fell out of that challenge, he was catching one ball, the other ball came out like virtually
same time.
the same time right after.
And you can only catch with one hand, so you're not catching both of them.
Right.
The girls were out first.
Right.
Jeremy ends up winning. He's
his only immunity that he wins,
and it's the most important one. That's
it
the
was
one.
yeah.
That's the one that he needed right there because that.
And he
put
gets
him,
to vote out who he thinks
now he's
he
in the
can win $1 million.
I mean, how great a position is that to win that challenge where
Well,
you sit back and you're just like, it don't matter. Like, I don't even care. It matters to the point where, I can take this person and have as my final three that votes against me. But at any rate, it didn't matter, I don't think, at that time. He's still, I mean, there's a reason that Jeremy won. In the first place. I mean, he did have a strong game, and he did sell it, and of course, at the end of that challenge...
before you say that...
But selling at the end of the challenge...
Selling it? Hold on. Did he sell it, or did Spencer blow it? Because when they got to Tribal there, and there were the four of them sitting there, and Spencer started opening his mouth, I think he fucked himself. That's when he... I mean...
Without a doubt,
he threatened him. He threatened,
without a doubt.
Hey, if you don't vote her out,
and it is
I'm going to vote her $1 million.
Survivor,
and I'm going to convince everybody else over there that.
No, absolutely. And Survivor is, in the end, when the jury
and everybody, all the
is
jury
voting
caught
against
up on
you,
that too.
It's an honorable game. The person that usually
Jeremy sat there cool as a cucumber as Spencer was threatening him.
Yeah,
and Spencer did threaten him.
He did.
This is
what's going to happen, right? I'm going to work.
Yeah, I'm going to work my hardest to make sure you don't win.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yeah. And
that's where he blew his game. Before that, he may have been able to steal a couple more votes.
He might have gotten a vote, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't get nothing after that.
But when I looked at that jury, and I even said it to you, Rob, when I looked at that jury, there was a bunch of sympathy people. Sierra, nothing but a sympathy.
Right.
She's a Hallmark card, for God's sake. Abby, you could sway her to sympathy easily.
And Jeremy, as my point was, though, Jeremy was playing that card the whole time.
And he had Fishbach and Savage, who were basically his boys.
Those were his guys,
I mean, he had at least 3 or 4 sympathy votes, plus 2 of his boys. He had 6 votes sitting over there. I don't know who Joe voted for, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Joe voted for Spencer, because I thought Spencer played a better game.
Yeah, they said
a better overall game until that final.
They said council. Jeremy got every vote.
Oh, did he? Every vote.
Jeremy got every vote. Yeah.
He got all the sympathy votes too.
And that's what I was saying. He has been playing that through, and even after that last immunity challenge, he breaks down and cries, and this is what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
And then it goes over to Wentworth.
Again.
Wentworth breaks down and cries because she knows she just blew her chance.
Yeah,
and I mean, I can understand that. But at the same time, Jeremy was playing that game where, and it's true, though. I mean, why was he there? I mean, Survivor is a good game to just be in and a part of. But truly, I think Jeremy was pretty genuine as far as what his intention was in being in the game for his family and making it to the end. I mean, it's huge to go through that game and be a winner.
I think it was calculated.
Well, and
it was calculated, and the rest of the players fell for it. They had a chance to vote him out several times, and they allowed him to hang around, and then at the end he won with the sympathy vote. Earlier, when they played their immunity challenge, or when they played their immunity idols, Jeremy had the most votes, but they didn't count because he played his immunity idol.
Right.
The rest of the players should have voted him out the next time.
Well,
because once you want somebody out,
yeah,
why
Well, and
go away from that?
that was the thing
Just
about
because he survived with his immunity idol, you've got to go back and get him. They all realized that he was a threat,
Jeremy's
and
been
then
a
they
threat
forgot about it.
throughout the game.
Then they
without
forgot
a
about
doubt.
it.
He was, but he had
doubt.
like I said, he had a couple buffers in front of him. Fishbach, who was a backstabbing snake, who he could have.
No, well, and like that was the thing. Jeremy had the right crew, the entire time, and plus he had the idols.
Right.
I mean, he did dictate throughout the game a lot of different moves. I mean, at the same time,
Fucking thing. God damn it.
Spencer had a great game going. Wentworth had a great game going.
Yeah, but Jeremy had Savage, who was calling all the shots for him. He had Fishbach, who was calling all the shots for him. I mean, Jeremy he was in a really good position. He aligned
smart.
with
Smart.
good people.
He was smart to let people kind of take the lead where he could stand back, get the idols, and kind of make up his own game. I mean, as he went along, he did a good job at that. And we saw, of course, after the Day 38 Immunity Challenge, now Wentworth is out. We weren't 100% sure on how that vote was going to go, even though we had a gut feeling on how it would end up. And obviously, Spencer stayed in it. And then we were down to the final three.
Right.
And
I'll tell you what, if Wentworth gets in the end, she wins. Well, I don't know. There was Jeremy really sold the sympathy card really well at the end there, especially.
He did.
I mean, you knew he was going to pull that out because he's been preaching that the entire season. Every time he was sitting in front of the camera, it was always about Val and the kids. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And that was kind of like the theme of the entire season. As much as I love Survivor, I could use a little less crying. I mean, for God's sake, you're only gone from your loved ones for 40 days.
Right.
It's a month and a half. I mean,
right. There's business trips that last longer than that.
Business trips.
Armed service people were gone for 10 times.
Listen, I had a surgery on my tailbone. I had a cyst taken out. I didn't take a shit for frickin' 40 days.
Right. Yeah, you're not talking to nobody.
Yeah, what's fucking 40 days for God's sake?
But we did come out to the end, and when everybody's sitting there, the jury goes through, they say their thing. The best one was Wigglesworth for sure, and I don't know if it meant anything or not, or if she just went up there to kind of be funny, but she asked the three of them pick a number 1 through 10, and Jeremy's like, right now?
Yeah.
And so it went, what was it, 2, 3, 4?
3, and 4.
So,
I bet her number was 1.
It might have been.
It was.
It might have been, yeah.
It was.
So, it was.
Because when she went up and she showed her card, she was like, fate is with you. Because and at that point I'm like, well, he's got all the sympathy votes. He's got Fishbach. He's got Savage.
Right.
She knows where everybody. They're all talking in the behind the scenes. And again, they're talking behind the scenes. They already decided before they even went out there. I mean, when Spencer, honestly, when Spencer went out there and threatened Jeremy,
his game was over.
His game was,
yeah.
And he even said it in the reunion show when we were watching. He goes, "I knew I blew my game at that point." And as much as he kept trying to say, "I'm,
right." And he
second chances. I've changed. Well, you may have. You're trying to. You're trying to change.
He grew.
You grew. You're trying to change, but you
He's
haven't.
on his way.
Not yet. You haven't quite reached the plateau yet.
Right. He came to the end there.
Yeah, you fell short.
Making threats ain't gonna do nothing for you on Survivor, and like I said, Survivor is one of those games where.
And did you see Jeremy?
The winners
as
are
he was threatening
people.
Jeremy's sitting there like this, cool as a cucumber, just
absolutely, yeah.
Not saying a word.
Nothing, right?
And you knew at that point you knew he won the game.
And
Tasha had nothing to stand on.
Jeremy's already thinking to himself, more than likely he has a good idea of I've got this now.
Right.
Now he's feeling pretty good about himself. He knows that, here's Spencer. He's going to kind of, spout off at the mouth, and and I'm just gonna sit here cool because that's the best move to make. And sure enough, that's what he did, and it was a smart decision. And in the end, I think Jeremy deserved the win. He did go through the game. He had power moves. He wasn't a silent player. He was able to use.
He could dictate the game again.
Cunning.
He had two idols in his pocket, so he could kind of.
He was cunning.
Be a little cocky.
He did, and that's
and
fine.
He was fine.
But he was cunning in the way that he did use the players around him. Smart moves,
He made his story a part of the story.
Yeah.
His life. Yeah. What was going on in his life.
Wow.
He made it.
I've been waiting 40 minutes for that most profound statement from you, and that was great.
But he did, He did kind of tie.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
He did tie in his life story into the game.
He did, but he and CBS has been promoting that. We've heard that story for the last 5 weeks.
Right.
We've heard about Val and the kids for the last 5 weeks. So I'm not surprised that he didn't win, but they did. They did keep us entertained for the last 5 weeks. Spencer was playing well. Joe played a great game until he passed out. I mean, he's like
that was a shame.
Yeah, and it is, because he's like the first person that they were going over it in the reunion show, some of the accomplishments that he's achieved.
Yeah.
By
and even his relationship with his dad.
He went 28 days. 28 in this season, 28 days without having a chance to be voted out. And
wow.
And in that, because either his tribe never went to tribal, when
he had immunity,
because he never went to tribal,
right,
until they hit the merge,
until they were individual immunities,
he always won for the first 4 or 5, and then when he finally had the chance to get voted out. Fishbach stole his vote.
Yeah.
And he still didn't go home.
And he still didn't go home. Yeah, it's impressive.
Jeff was making a lot of comments about how great Joe is.
Without a doubt, yeah. Joe was great. Joe was an excellent player, for sure.
And I would not be surprised to see him come back again.
Well, and that kind of falls into wrapping up the show, because as much as I do like seeing old contestants, bigger shows where it's all old contestants starts to get it wears on me. In my opinion,
sure.
In my opinion, I love to see new players,
new people. Sure,
old players. This was a good.
Well, they always do it every 4 or 5 years. You'll see a reunion show,
absolutely,
or they'll bring a couple of them back.
The show was good. It was interesting because things were different with the voting blocks. That kind of worked out interesting, where people didn't have the alliances, but they voted upon what block of people kind of had and
just survive another day, like
who your allies kind of were at that time.
Right.
And it was an interesting way that the game worked out. I hope that the next season 32, will be a game with all brand new players.
It is all brand new players. It's called Brains versus Beauty versus Brawn. They've had one of those before.
Yeah.
They've had one of those before. They're going to have another one again. And when they do that, it's always a nice diversity of different types of people. I mean, they're different races, of course.
Right.
But you'll get 5 or 6, models and good-looking people, and then 5 people that are in corporate America that are very smart and intelligent.
Right.
And
it's kind of the same idea as the white-collar, blue-collar team thing that they did before.
White, blue, and red.
And those are exciting episodes.
Or no collar. White collar, blue collar, no collar.
Right, and those are exciting episodes. They do draw a diverse crowd, and they pull out a good interest in really watching the show.
A little trivia, a little note.
Which one of those people comes out on top?
Little trivia, a little note. Tasha, Cass, and Spencer, who were in Second Chances, were all on the Brains versus Beauty versus Brawn.
Right.
First season, all 3 of them on the Brains team.
Yeah.
So, which is nice to know that most of your Survivor viewers are people of intellect.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty cool. They have a quite a following still, and along with our audience here, it might not be huge, but
we're getting an audience.
It's enough to draw people into the interest of the show.
Absolutely,
it's a great show.
Survivor's a fantastic show.
Great show.
Speaking of fantastic shows, what do we have coming up in the Overkill Underground future?
Well, in the next couple weeks, obviously, we're going to be entering into the new year.
Right.
So, and we're going to get a little more serious. Survivor was fun to start out with.
Sure.
We're going to end up getting into the 2016 election. It's something that we're going to be, obviously, not just, talking about a game show and that, that's been fun. But
the Overkill Underground is, we're a very diverse group here.
And we like
What'd
to
you
have
say,
fun.
Robert?
We like to have fun here. We're a very diverse group, of course. But yeah, we like to have fun here. But the topics will get more serious.
Right.
I hope you guys are here in the future to watch those episodes. We'll probably start, if not at the beginning of the year, in the next week or two. And we'll be talking election.
Well, the next week or two, that will be the beginning of the year. We're at the end of the year.
About
about 2 more weeks.
It is
about a week or so before the Iowa caucuses will come on.
Yeah.
See what the landscape looks like.
Did you say cock?
It's gonna change. It's gonna change
without a doubt. Yeah. And it's an interesting election.
It's a huge election.
It is.
We'll see how it plays out.
It seems like it's really a make it or break it. So I hope you guys are with us then. I'm glad you guys were here with us here in the Overkill Underground for our Survivor series. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And join us for the 2016 year. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you in 2016. And I will be more vocal, I promise.